Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is a draft analysis for the NPL Minors Tryout tournament. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for any background noise you might hear. I'm actually on a road trip right now, and you might hear some of the bumping and rumbling from the vehicle. Hopefully it's not too loud and you can hear everything fine. So, first mon I was fourth pick out of 16. There were two sort of divisions of 16. 32 people trying out for I think 10 spots is what I've heard, but I'm not too sure. And so each of those 16 people, well, each of those two divisions had a separate 16-person draft, and after the draft, we will all be separated into four-man pools, and we will play everyone else in our pool, so 3 games of pool play, and then the top 2 people in each pool will move on to bracket play, and then it'll just be a sort of single elimination from there. So I was 4th pick, so, well, Tapu Lele went first in both divisions, which is the one I wanted, but somehow Tapu Koko actually got to me, and Tapu Koko is really cool mon. First thing you'll notice about this thing is base 130 speed, and that is so fast. It's awesome to have something so fast in league format because you force your opponent to run stuff like Scarf, which reduce their offensive capabilities by reducing. They can't run a item that makes them have more power. They can't switch up their moves to hit things more effectively. So the 130 speed is really nice, just being able to outspeed basically almost any threat except for stuff like Mega Lopunny, Mega Manectric, Mega Alakazam, stuff like that. And the second thing you'll notice about this is Electric Surge, which summons electric terrain and will boost its electric type moves by a lot. So even though its special attack is less than its attack by a decent margin, 20 points, it can still hit super hard with Volt Switch and Thunderbolt. And the special set is run more often than the physical set, mostly because its only Fairy Stab is on the special side with Dazzling Gleam. However, in League format, I'm free to run more mixed sets because, you know, if a team is weaker to this Pokemon, then I don't need all the power that I can get from Volt Switch or something like that. I can run maybe max attack, maybe this much speed with a naive nature, and run a little bit of special attack with a Life Orb, and I'll be able to just tailor all my EV specifically to kill what I want to kill, which makes this mon even better in League format. It's already a monster in ladder play, so I'm really excited to use this mon. It's one of the premier offensive mons, especially from Gen 7. So I was excited to use that. So second pick, maybe I wanted something a little bit more defensive, something I can use to switch into ground type attack, something that beats a lot of ground types. So I thought maybe I'll grab Skarmory. That could be good. I didn't expect Celesteela to make it back to me, which is just crazy. I think this mon is definitely a round 1 pick, but I was 4th out of 16 and I got it back to me. So that was awesome to see, because this mon has ridiculous stats, just over base 100 except for HP and obviously speed, but it can hit very hard with Heavy Slam, and it gets Autotomized if you want to set up, and it has some of the best coverage in the game. Like, you can just keep scrolling through all this coverage and it just can hit nearly every Pokemon in the game super effectively with this. Coupled with the Flying Steel typing, a lot of stuff won't be able to take it down. What I really like about that is it can't be toxic, so I like steel types with good recovery. Well, this thing doesn't have reliable recovery per se, but it does have Leech Seed recovery, so if you pair that with leftovers, you're going to be recovering a lot per turn. And the good thing about that is because you can't be toxic, which means a lot of mons should be able to beat you with recovery plus toxic, which is a way a lot of people like to beat walls. You can't do that to Celesteela. And meanwhile, you can leech seed them and then hit them with super effective coverage because you have super effective coverage for almost anything here. So that's another mon I'm very excited to use. I think it's going to be very useful in this tournament. I then drafted Mega Venusaur. You know me, I like a lot of very fat drafts, so I want to be able to switch into a lot of different threats. So what I was worried about is opposing electric types, taking advantage of electric terrain, and using it to force out mons like Celesteela, and then it would be hard to switch into electric type attacks. So I did the calcs with Mega Venusaur. I calced Mega Manectric and electric terrain versus Mega Venusaur, and its timid Thunderbolt and electric terrain does like 28. It's ridiculous how fat this mon is. Like you can see, 80, 123, 120 defenses, just ridiculous. So this is a grass poison type with thick fat, meaning that it's really only weak to flying and psychic. So what that allows me to do is it's just another leech seed user. It absorbs toxic spikes and it can wall a lot of different things. It's a very good scald switch in, it's a good knockoff switch in. But two of the moves that are hardest to switch into, it can switch easily into, especially with Scald burns doing less in this generation than previous generations. I haven't really used Mega Venusaur in the League format yet, so I'm excited to use it. And, you know, it can run a very nice offensive set as well as a defensive set with 122 special attack, very respectable. And it can also run physical because of access to Earthquake and knockoffs and Sword Stance moves like that. So if I need it to lure a wall set up on it, it can do that easily. It can set up subs on a lot of different things because of its ridiculous defenses, and then set up sword stances if I need it to do that, or I can just, you know, run the bulky Leech Seed, Toxic, Giga Drain, Synthesis. So a lot of different things I can do with this mon. Very excited to use it, and I think it'll be an indispensable member. Alright, this is where it starts getting out of hand. So, what I like to do in drafts a lot of times is draft a very good defensive core first, which isn't really what I should be doing. I like having the ability in team building to have switch-ins to everything on my opponent's team, but sometimes you have to just draft more offensive stuff. But Slowbro, I mean, if you look at its defenses, they're really good, and in my opinion, what every league team needs league draft needs is a bulky water type. Slowbro fits the bill perfectly. I especially like when bulky water types have good defense. They can switch into earthquakes well and hit the ground types back with super effective water stab. And it's also a bulky psychic type, so to be able to switch into mons like Tapu Lele very well, and if I run special and defensive, and you know, be able to toxic it and then recover stall if I need it to do that. Well, I have Celesteela for mons like Tapu Lele still, but it'll be nice having a bulky psychic type to deal with, you know, psychic type attackers especially. And you can also run a variety of different berries on this to mitigate its weaknesses to grass, electric, dark, ghost, bug. It also gets Regenerator, which you can use to... So, what that does for this is... I've lost to this in league battles before. I thought Toxicking a Slowbro would be enough to defeat it. Toxicking it plus recovering on it. But the truth is, they can just switch out with Regenerator, reset the Toxic timer, and get all their health back that they lost from Toxic. So it makes Toxic stalling not a viable way to beat this. It lets it wall... lets it recover a lot of health, and switch out to the mon that better deals with the mon you're trying to wall. So even if you try to revenge this mon, it can just switch out and gain all its health back. So really cool wall to use there. Access to Scald, a bunch of different coverage, Ice Beam, Flamethrower. Has a very good Calm Mind set, has a very good Trick Room set. And in general, well, because Thunder Wave too, which is pretty cool. But in general, this mon is going to be very good to use. It switches into fire types, which is a problem here. Like, what I switch to like a Banded Darmanitan. I mean, Slowbro switches in very well. unless it U-turns, but hopefully I won't have to deal with that. Spoiler alert, I don't think I have to deal with Darmanitan in my pools. Let me just make sure real quick. Nah, I don't believe I have to deal with Darmanitan, which is very nice. So, well, actually, hold on. Oh, I do have to deal with it. Oh well, that's one of the reasons I drafted this, is to be able to switch into Flare Blitzes very well. If they want to go for U-turn, I still don't take that much, and I can gain all the health back from Regenerator, so very useful mon here, and very effective bulky water type, one of the best in the format in my opinion. Then round 5, I realized Hideraven was still around, and in my opinion, Hideraven is like a round 1, round 2 pick. It's a very, very good mon, just to do so much. All of its stats are great. And I didn't mention this with Tapu Koko, but both of them actually get a pretty fast taunt, which is very nice for being water type. Well, let's say I go against a Suicune with this, I can just taunt it, Toxic it, and then Roost, and then it can't do anything, literally can't do anything. It can Ice Beam me if it wants to, but that doesn't do that much if I run a bulkier set. It can Skull Burn me, which doesn't matter because I'm a physical attacker. I mean, not physical attacker, a special attacker. And then I can just pretty much shut it down that way, which is very nice. The thing also gets Levitate, which is very nice pairing with Tapu Koko. I mean, I deal with ground types, all the better. And, you know, it's a very powerful special attacker with access to Stab Draco Meteor, Stab Dark Pulse. I also made this one of my Z Pokemon, meaning it can use Z moves. And what that allows me to do is run Z Draco Meteor, or Devastating Drake, which doesn't lower my special attack, but still uses the power of Draco Meteor. It'll be an insanely powerful move, and then I can use Draco Meteor, so that'll make it even harder to switch into, which I'm very excited about. So Hydreigon's gonna be very cool to use. So you might notice a big weakness in the mons I've drafted so far, and that weakness is actually I don't have any users of Stealth Rock. I don't have any ways to remove Stealth Rock. So I decided to draft next kind of kills those two birds in one stone. Not really, but sort of. It's Gliscor. And Gliscor gives me a reliable rocker, and it can defog, but it can't run Toxic Heal or Poison Heal if it has defog. But Poison Heal gives it, you know, a lot of recovery with Toxic Orb. I'll just be able to recover a lot of health with this, and it also gives me a ground type and immunity to electric, which is very important in my opinion. As well as offensively, Earthquake is very good against a lot of teams. The thing also gets access to Swords Dance, Substitute, meaning it can set up and sweep very well, and it's not that bad of a defogger actually, because I can just run the Yachi Berry set, which, you know, I would probably bring to a decent amount of matches anyway. Because what a lot of people like to do is run HP Ice on their electric types and stuff like that to hit Gliscor. So with a monstrous defense stat, it'll just be very hard to kill, and I'll be able to kill a lot of things with Earthquake and be able to set up rocks very well, which is very important for a more like semi-stall team like mine, because they'll want to switch out their mons that are being walled, and I punish them for that with Stealth Rock. And then, so it was an 8-mon draft, so let's go over to our last 2 mons. So my 7th mon was actually Florges, and what Florges allows me to do is Wish Pass to Celesteela, which is very important in my opinion. It's also one of the best defensive fairy types in the format in my opinion. I think it's only outclassed by Togekiss and Clefable, but that's just my opinion, what do I know. But this thing has very good defensive stats. Not very good defense, but usually you invest a lot into defense when making this, so it can actually switch into mons like Ambipom and stuff like that pretty well. Despite its seemingly bad defense, it's just mono fairy typing, allows it to take a lot of hits you wouldn't expect it to. And this will usually be leftovers, pretty useless abilities, but gets Moonblast, access to Wish, and Aromatherapy. Just a very good cleric for the team. I think it's a good cleric is a necessity for any team in the league format. Just being able to beat people who like to toxic stall, stuff like that. You might see me mentioning toxic stall a lot. I think it's, I don't know, I find myself using toxic a lot, so I wouldn't want people like me to use it against me. I don't know if you know what I'm saying there, but it's a very good strategy in my opinion, and I want to draft things that are able to beat it very well. So I still am low on rockers. I only have Gliscor, which, you know, if I don't want to bring it to every match. You know, I don't want to have to bring Gliscor to every match for rocks. And then I still only have one Mon over 110 speed. Gliscor is at 100, but I might not want it to be 100 all the time. I want to run it more defensive. So I drafted Lycanroc. And what Lycanroc does is it gives me another stealth rocker, gives me another fast taunter, and it gives me a second Mon over 110 speed. This thing has Stab, Stone Edge, Stab, Accelerock, which is a priority rock move with 40 base power. And it's used as a suicide lead in OU a lot, so you can just set up stealth rocks, keep other people from setting up stealth rocks with taunt, and go from there. So that's the draft for the NPL Minors Tryout tournament, and I hope I can do pretty well in this, and the battles should be going up shortly. I'm going to try to team build really hard for these. I really want to get into NPL Minors, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, see you guys.